As humans, we love to create. Hand any little kid a little bit of Play-Doh or a blank sheet of paper and let them go to work. They will eventually present to you the finished product, something that began in their imagination that they have now created. And I've learned that it's never good to try and guess what it is. It's always better to let them explain. Because if you attack or accuse it of being anything other than their original intent, like if you don't see it the way that they see it, you're not only attacking art, it's almost an affront to their very person. In Ephesians chapter 2, we find a letter to the Ephesian church that is really like a testimony of the glory and majesty of God. And in verse 8, we see that our salvation is by grace through faith. It's not of ourselves, it's not of works, so that no man can boast. And then it says in verse 10, for we, you and I, those who are saved, are his workmanship. Well, what does that mean? And why put that in that chapter? Well, Paul is letting you know that it's not about you. There's not a single thing that's about you. In fact, it's all about Jesus Christ. Even your salvation is more about him than it is about you. In fact, you are a piece of work, is what chapter 2 verse 10 says. Now, you're not a piece of work like that little kid's Play-Doh creation. We're not a piece of work like we look at ourselves sometimes, like our 7th grade shop project. We're not a piece of work like the clunky cake that looked so amazing on Pinterest, that looks so awful in person. You're a piece of God's work. In fact, that word workmanship comes from the Greek word poema. That's where we get our English word poem. And to God, your life is a beautiful poem, a unique classic, an amazing story. Now man has imagined some amazing stories. One of my favorites is C.S. Lewis's The Chronicles of Narnia series. But even those acclaimed classics are just imaginary. But listen, when God begins to imagine something, he has a way of bringing it into existence, making something out of nothing, making it multidimensional and making it eternal. Now, some chapters in the poem of your life might be a drama, some might be a comedy, some might be a horror story that you hope you never have to read again. But know this, you are not boring to God. He delights in the development of your character, in the story that he's writing. And just like you and I wouldn't read a book that had the same boring chapters over and over and over again, listen, when we hand God the pen, sometimes he has to write out some characters that we thought would be with us till the end. Sometimes he does that so that he can white out some chapters that should have never been written to begin with. He does the write out so he can white out. But listen, don't argue with the author when he turns the page on a new chapter, because you're not boring to him. He wants to write a classic. He wants to write a novel. He wants to write a story that is all about his son by way of the binding that is you. God already knows the end of the story, so you might as well hand him the pen. But know this, to God, you're amazing. You're unique. You're a special story, a one of a kind. Don't compare yourself to anything else, and don't look at yourself like that Play-Doh. Don't question what God is writing, because that's an attack on his very person. He sees what you don't. Nothing about you is random. Let me invite you to share this video with someone who might need some encouragement today. You can follow me on YouTube, and you can check me out on Instagram and Twitter at John_Layton. Take care, and God bless.